Ryunosuke Naruhodo having considered. Wait! Was Ryunosuke doing his thinking face?
Yes!
Oh! Oh! Wait! Your Excellency! Ryunosuke Naruhodo, considering all the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection!
The amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems the trial is over, he gives it ruling. This is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
There's a blatantly straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows the handbag of the gentlewoman carrying on the day in question. There's no problem with this evidence. You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. Oh, I understand your objections, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective is not undergoing the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we could glean any new information from this handbag. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution has become tired of the rookie desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, we grant the defense one final opportunity. What? I'll be warned. But be warned that if I'm satisfied with your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yeah! Yes, Your Excellency. So taking a look at the photographic print Inspector Hasanagawa submitted before. We will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail which you have alluded. Right here, baby.
Yes!
Look at this, here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. Looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly there's nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. Police coroner also noticed that when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What can I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered the burn, do we? No possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as the prosecutor actually points out, unless a firm connection to this case can be shown, I could not allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem as spread as a lunch appointment with the dean and other university council staff. No, I read council out of that. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. You shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure that Excellency better give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am! We're gonna just link that burn to the case. We can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. I already know. Indeed, I'm afraid that without any evidence, I cannot allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we have evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. Tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Bright's face. I have to find some link between the burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Booyah!
Yes!
What's this, counsel? Yet another print. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we overlooked at time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Ricky. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further would be inexcusable. Bum. Actually, mean to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Bright. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have a usually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. This is your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What's in the photograph that explain the reason for the victim's burn? That one.
Yes!
The beefsteak. Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. The emblem on this plate. The victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you're genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at this restaurant. But even if that is the case, we don't know what happened on the day in question or not. Could have been the day before, or the day before that. Most likely happened some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Achi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hasanaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at this photo of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate were at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would be taking around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim would have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've never heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter! He's undercover,
Yes!
Ouchie. Come on, buddy. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hasanawa never heard of the professor scream, not on that day or any day before. That's right. And that strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? That it came after he died. Well, the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day. That would be beyond careless, I think, counsel. And the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us without question have heard him scream. Why don't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yeah, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Oh my god, Pursuit. Is Pursuit about to play? Can it really be true? I never dreamt to arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man could have remained silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. Oh, it's not Pursuit, but it's... Oh, this is just... Oh, I got chills. That's madness! Order! Please, counsel. Please explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous point by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you with no grasp on the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered the burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard. It's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. Sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon arrangement. But Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I begin to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helped relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese. Well, of course I do. Studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother's tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar terms as much as possible. Oh yeah, boys, we got her now. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this, the lavish consideration you so graciously afforded us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will ask you to testify in your own words. about the events leading up to the death of the victor, Dr. Wilson. So we're finally going to hear our own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting. Ryunosuke. Witness, testimony. Oh, this is Allegro, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, I have no idea what the poor man burns his wrist on like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. So as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Us later when we go to England and fucking destroy their investigation results. The most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court history. Thank you. He easily does it. I hope this is the last time I have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Okay. Not at all, not at all. I'm delighted merely to hear you speak, dear lady. It seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what happened here today. The Minister of Justice made the irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest penalty possible. Amen. Huh? Thank you? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brent, and put up with a cross-examination now. Oh, she didn't expect to be cross-examined. So you notice that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure we don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Let's go. Yes, Your Excellency. And you may proceed with the cross-examination. Oh my god, okay. I didn't notice anything particularly out of place. The victim's death. Fortunately, I had no idea. Okay, let me burn his wrist like that. I raise our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the postmortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigation technique probably won't pick up on it anyways. That sounds like a threat. I'm gonna be honest here. Alright.
Yes!
That was press. But his hand was on the steering hot plate at least 3 whole seconds. You could not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived in this courtroom and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You cannot have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ah! What fun! You haven't realized. This dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you're embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can you tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh, yes, my tiny brain can!
Yes!
Well, I can't. Anyway. The waiter brought my steak. The professor and I raised our glasses in a toast.
Yes!
I still have a problem with the steak being on his side and not yours. You testified before you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink, correct, waiter? Excuse me. Exactly as you say, sir. Although... whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table. I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least for the benefits of the others in the courtroom. I means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. Dun 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 dun. That's why I've heard the possible shot and all the possible cause of death side
Yes!
shot. Is that true? Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhaging from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn in the wrist isn't going to kill us. Although there is no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate the cause of death. It could only be the bullet from a gun that you put at the end until the end is when it's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had been cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. If the victim's burned his wrist on a hot plate as soon as it was brought up from a table, from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is the victim was killed by a gunshot at the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, it's a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Archie is right. Bum, 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 bum. So,
Yes!
please show me without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there's always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. In order that a police force to thoroughly examine the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, it's always aimed for a flawless investigation. It'd be physical trace with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's something out of their way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, that you doubt me, young man, you're gonna have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought! Calling such a young woman, lady, innocent of the question. On my honor, I... Takatsuchi Archie, what could Darini do? Catch this aspirations. Oh my god, I completely lost his voice. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back up here. Yes, evidence. Evidence. Come on.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found in crime scenes for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. Lab Caravan was open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, final evidence may be lost. This is it! Doesn't even occur to the naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can you understand? A killing blow! A lady in a formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He actually admitted our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ashley is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There's a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. I want you to press that I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in our armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. about the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yeah, seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if he might be significant. He might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing around that last statement one more time. You think so, but this time instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Well, this is the react mechanic from the lane crossover. Yeah.
Wait.
Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. Well, what do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man. Pursuit? The man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness's marker. What marker? The moment we're focusing on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left to right with the D-pad, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. If you catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere among the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first you should move the marker across the screen with D-pad and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with A. Let's see what's on his mind. Here we go. This means that even if the investigation takes never directed by an evidence may be lost. Excuse me! Ah! What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. Looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. Huh? The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he immediately involved in this case. Intimately involved. Inspector Hosonaga. Yeah, yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? I wonder how much blood is on that towel. Well, yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to speak. Excuse me. The lady is right. Our country's practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why Satori Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I don't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. What'd you take, Hosonaga? A crime scene thief? Well, looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. Well, I guess canonically in the English version, maybe. In the Japanese version, definitely not. California kind of gets fucked in the English version. The day is coming, I guarantee it. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Carbonated water. It was written on the day it was on the victim's table. Miss Wright. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel. May we resume the cross-examination? The inspector will kindly control his, favor. Ahem! Let's see. This carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I'm sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. Can't go drinking evidence. Oh, no, you're right, we don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke. More ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. The label? The label's written in the foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what this says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. You go to France and ask. You can just say that you don't know. Is that it? Bet!
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Poisoning! Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Ivan. On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have possibly done it. Giselle Brett. It was you.
Objection!
If that's outrageous, that's just a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only have just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you tried the vaguest inkling that your rash accusation could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Oh. If I may, I will silence you forever with this disgraceful attack on the... It is you who should be silent. Oh, of course. Dear lady! Where did that come from? She just snapped. I like how the speech bubble is different. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer many humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. This bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the insides of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I would test for every toxin that's available in the country at the present time. We could find no traces of poison in any description in this bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The testimonies were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! No! Very grateful for all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, our pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if we was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think this cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecutor asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun was the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who was by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present at this court at this time? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Who said that? Oh, please wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikatoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikatoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. To be... What? This case is so long! Save my current progress, yes, please. Sheesh! Gee, oh my god. Okay, we gotta keep going. I can't stop, won't stop.